Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and unsolder this 100 mega ohm resistor. Okay, and I'm using a solder sucker like that. That's the big blue. It's the same type of solder sucker that I used to use in the industry. Yeah. Same type of solder sucker I used in the industry. Okay, let me clean my iron tip. Make sure it's nice and clean. Let's make sure you guys can see what I'm doing. And basically, okay, I have to turn this around because sometimes you have to turn around because of the way the leads are in the pads, and you want to get the iron on the pad. So, okay, and that's it. That's all it needs. Okay, so I think that. Okay, I know the resistor will come out, but I need to clean that. I need to clean the board. Yeah, I need to clean that board. So there's the 100 ohm resistor. There's nothing wrong with that, so I'll probably put that in my parts bin. But okay, so check it out. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and clean that. I'll use, well, actually, I'll use one of these 100% cotton makeup pads. Yeah, there I go again with these makeup pads, but they work really good. Okay. They work actually pretty good, so I always use them. Trying to get a lot of that dust off. I'll have to clean this board. This is a rare board. Picasso II boards are actually very rare. They're very hard to find. Not many of these were made. At least that's been my experience. You know, not many of them were made. So, yeah. Anyway, okay, that's pretty clean there. Now I need to check the rear of the board, because see how that looks? Got that stuff all over the place. I'm thinking about actually re-soldering that just to get solder in those holes. I probably should have added solder before, you know, before removing solder. I know that probably doesn't make sense, but that's actually a very good way of doing that. Okay, what I think I'll do on that. Alrighty, let's clean this up. Try to get all this off of there. And for some reason, when I desoldered it, it didn't, like, yeah, I don't want, okay, that's better. Okay, yeah, that's better. A lot better. And again, with the cotton makeup pad, yes. And it works pretty good. I mean, Yeah. Okay. All right. And another thing I usually use, believe it or not, for cleaning boards is I use a makeup brush because they're very soft. Yeah, but yeah, I use a makeup brush, and I just, this is just to make sure that there's no, like when I unsoldered the resistor, I don't want any solder flakes on the board anywhere, possibly shorting out the board, you know. It's also a good way to, dust off the board, because this is pretty soft. See? Just dust off the board. There you go. Looks better. Okay, so we got that resistor removed, that 100 ohm resistor removed. So when I hook up my LCD monitor, I don't have to worry about that frying the board. So now I'm going to go ahead and remove these three 470 microfarad 10 volt capacitors. So let's do that. And let me clean my iron. I got my iron set at around 625 degrees Fahrenheit for those of you that want to do this on your own board. Let's get it set on the camera. Okay, so let me make sure what caps I'm doing. Okay, so it's going to be, I think, you know what? I think this time I'm going to add solder. But before I do that, I think I want to take a marker, because I can always wipe the marker off with alcohol and the cotton swab. So I think what I want to do is I want to mark these. Like I think that's one of them. That's one of them. And that's one of them. Okay. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention in the first part of this video. Let me get my pointer. Yeah. If you notice, there is a connector right here. This is an expansion connector for this graphics card. You'll also see these three holes here. You can actually buy expansion modules for this Picasso board that plug in. They're actual boards that plug into that header right there, the pin header right there, and then the standoffs get screwed onto these holes here. And yeah, you can buy different expansion modules that plug into the Picasso II board. So I always thought that was pretty cool, you know. Okay, so let me go ahead and I got to add some solder before I can remove solder, if that makes sense to you guys. Those of you that have done solder sucking or removing parts from boards, you'll know what I'm talking about, why I'm doing this. Alright, so I'm going to add a little bit so it makes sucking up that solder a little bit easier. Okay, so now I'll take the big blue, and it's just going to be easy peasy. Okay, just gonna be easy peasy, boys and girls. There you go. You know what? It might be better just to actually try to remove those parts. Like, let me see. Like that. I need to add more solder. Yeah, I need to add more solder. Yeah, I don't like the way that's... Okay, now it should come out a little bit easier. I'm hoping you guys can see this on the camera. But, okay. Okay. So, yeah, I don't like these aluminum can resistors. I mean, capacitors. But there's... Oh, God. There's one of them. That's out of there. So, let's... I didn't damage the board. Looks fine. Let's continue on, shall we? Yeah, let's continue on. I think this way is going to work out pretty good. Yeah, these pads are really small. I mean, oh my God. They're really small pads. Okay, I'm going to have to add more solder. I don't want to damage those pads. These are really small. Which is surprising for this time period, because usually in this time period, you know, late 80s, early 90s, the pads were still pretty good size. You know, they weren't this small. So, yeah, I don't want to damage those pads. Because you can lift the pads from the other side. Because it might be hot on this side, but it may not be hot enough on the other side. And if you're pulling on these parts, you could actually rip the pad off from the opposite side. So, yeah, you got to be careful not to do that. And I'm expecting, yeah, I didn't damage those pads, so they still look good. Okay, so there's the other, you know, capacitor. That's the second one. I got one more to do. And just want to make sure you can see what I'm doing. And I'm using 7-powered magnifying goggles when I do this. Okay, I need to add more solder to that. Now, soldering on the new parts is a lot easier and it goes a lot quicker too. It's removing the old parts that's a pain in the butt. Alright, I'm using really high quality Kester solder. It's like the best solder that you can use. It's the same solder that I used in the industry, so I'm used to this solder. Okay. There's the the third cap. Okay, so what I need to do now is just clean the board. Yeah, just clean this board with a cotton makeup pad. Yeah, there I go again with the cotton makeup pad. Okay. Actually, it might be better just to use like a Q-tip. Yeah, for something like this. Yeah. I'll clean it a little bit better once I solder on the new caps. But I hope you guys can see what I'm doing here. I'm trying to keep it underneath the camera so you can see what I'm doing. Yeah, the temperature on my iron is set to around 625 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, and then we want to pop it over like this. And I want to clean all that. I actually need to suck that solder up out of there before I can do the new parts. So let me do that. Probably going to have to add solder and then remove it. I need to remove it cleanly. So, but first let me go ahead and clean that really good. Yeah. This board was filthy for some reason. I don't know why, but it was absolutely filthy. Okay, that looks good. I just need to, let me see. Okay. I just need to suck the solder out of those holes before I can solder in the new capacitors. There's some stuff right here. I like my boards clean. I don't like all this stuff all over the place. Okay, so I'm thinking that's pretty good. Good. Yeah. Okay, that looks good. Now I need to suck out that solder. But first I need to add solder, if that makes sense. Okay, gonna add solder to remove solder. Alright, so add that, add a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there. Yeah, these pads are really small. I mean, oh my god. Could they afford, larger pads, Okay, so that's out of there. That's out of there. That's out of there. Just that easy, boys and girls. Just that easy. Just that easy with this big blue solder pump. These are great. They're great. I usually pick these up on eBay for about, I think I paid like $7 or $8 for those. Yeah, $7 or $8. Yeah. Okay. And I'll show you the difference. Okay, this is the type of solder sucker that most of you guys use. You use one about this size, like Gadget UK 164. I think that's his YouTube channel. Gadget UK 164. He uses one about this size, or even smaller. And I suspect that a lot of you guys, you use one like this. Okay. Now compare, and these don't have enough suction. They don't work as good. And now compare it to the Big Blue. Look at the size difference. And trust me, in this case, size does matter. Okay? This one has a lot more suction, has a much more powerful spring, and it makes, you know, solder sucking a whole lot easier and actually fun. So, yeah, I just thought I'd show you that. Yeah, I used to use those small ones too, and I said, oh, hell no. Now I'm going back to the Big Blue. Going back to the Big Blue ones. They work great. Okay, so now what I need to do is I need to, well, I've already cleaned the board and it still looks pretty good. And none of the pads are damaged. I'm glad of that. None of the pads are damaged. And the positive looks like it's the same. It looks like, okay, let me get my pointer. It looks like, okay, on this right here, positive is the same on all of these. It's right there. Okay. But look how small these pads are. They can be very easily damaged if you don't know what you're doing, or if you don't have experience working with small pads like this. And I do. I have experience. Okay, so yeah, you want to leave stuff like this to a professional. You don't want to try to do this on your own, boys and girls. Trust me. Just trust me on that. Okay, so these are 470 microfarad. Let me double check. I always double check. Always double check your work. Check twice, do it once. Okay, 470 microfarad. The originals are 10 volt. These are 16 volt. That's fine. The negative, the stripe is the negative. So we'll put that in like that, and the lead spacing should be the same as the originals. Okay, should be the same. So there's that. And put this one in like that. Okay. This is pretty as you please. And put that one in. Okay. And double check. Always check twice, do once. Check at least twice. Yeah, those are going to work out great. And like I said, these are Panasonic. They're high quality Japanese made capacitors. So they're going to work out really good. And I think I'll do it like, can you still see it underneath the camera? Just want to make sure you guys can see that underneath the camera. So yeah, solder these babies in. And alright, let's get these babies soldered, okay? Alright. Alrighty, so get that soldered in. Okay. Yeah, this Kester solder just flows so beautifully. It's like the best solder you can get. It's Very nice solder. Very nice solder. And it has the rosin, or the liquid flux inside the core of the solder. It just makes soldering a breeze. Now, we stopped using this kind of solder in the electronics industry, and we went to that water-soluble crap. I hate that crap. And those of you that work in the industry, you know what I'm talking about. The stuff stinks, and it doesn't solder as nicely as this Kester solder. And it's just crap. So, yeah. Okay, so before I cut those leads, I'm going to go ahead and inspect my work, what I've done. But that's what it looks like. Just a close-up view before cleaning. I'm still going to clean it. So I got to cut the leads and clean that. And then, as you can see, you know, those caps, I think they turned out really good. You know, they turned out pretty good. So, yeah. Alrighty, I just want to make sure it's in there good. And yeah, brand new caps. They're in the right polarity. They're in there correct. Alright, so let's go ahead, cut these leads. Now, you don't want to ever cut into the solder. You don't ever want to cut into the solder. You cut like about 1/16 of an inch above the cone of solder. Okay? And I'll zoom in to show you how much that is. But yeah, you gotta be careful. You don't want to cut into the solder. And the reason for that is because you can actually fracture the solder joint. And it becomes a bad solder joint at that time when you do that. Okay. That one. Okay, let me see something on that one. Okay, and that one I'm going to have to touch up a little bit. That one solder joint. Yeah, I'm going to touch that one up a little bit. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, and that looks good. And that one, I'm going to have to touch up a little bit. Yeah, you don't want to cut into the solder joint, that's for sure. Alright. Actually, no, it's fine. Just leave it, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so now we're going to clean it. And you want to squeeze this out a little bit with your fingers. You don't want it sopping wet. I've noticed a lot of you guys, when you use these cotton swabs, you got them all sopping wet, and you don't want that. You want to squeeze it out a little bit. The excess alcohol with your finger, between your two fingers. Yeah. Yeah. Just, yeah. Okay, that's looking good. Okay. And any kind of like, you can see the solder flakes. You want to get those off too. And that's where the makeup brush comes in. After you finish with this, it'll brush those off the board. So, yeah. Or any kind of like a soft hair brush, you know, soft haired, natural haired brush will work. Like for brushing off the board when you're done soldering. or brushing the dust off. You know, any kind of brush like that will work. Even like an artist brush, like a like a little bit larger artist brush will work really good for this. And yeah, it should be clean enough. I mean, yeah. Okay. Let me go ahead and take the makeup brush, brush all that off, because you don't want any solder flakes or whatever from unsoldering on the board. You don't want that on the board. Okay, so let me inspect that. Well, the soldering looks good. Yeah, it looks good. I don't see any problems with that. And the top of the board looks great. I don't see any problems with that. Yeah, I don't see any problems with that. Now the one side, there's one on here that I think I might need to touch up with liquid flux. And I use this Kester's. Well, let me show it underneath the camera. I use this Kester. I don't know if you can see that. Kester 186 no clean flux, but I still clean it. Even though it says no clean, no, I clean it off anyway. But I use liquid flux, not paste flux. And this is especially important if you're surface mount, which I'll touch upon in part 5 of my electronics assembly series of videos, when I teach you guys how to do surface mount soldering. So to touch this up, I need to put just a little bit right there. That's all I need. Just one tiny drop. You don't want to use too much of this liquid flux. And that should do it. And then I'll put this back, and then I'll take my iron, and I should just be able to touch that solder connection, and it should be perfect. Yeah, that's perfect. Yep, now it's perfect. And then just turn my iron off. There's no sense in it being on. No sense in it being on. No sense in it being on if I'm not using it. I'm just wearing it out. So, yeah. So move my iron back. Move that out of the way. Okay, move the iron back. Like so. Okay. So, let me continue cleaning this. Okay, I think that's good. Got all that flux off of there, and this board was a little bit dirty to begin with. It has some kind of a film on it to begin with. I think that was left from the factory. You know, they didn't wash this board really good. I'm surprised because, you know, it's a German factory. I expect them to do higher quality workmanship, you know. Okay, so what I'm going to have to do is to deep clean this board. I'm going to show you a technique that we use in the electronics industry. And what we use a brush like this. Okay, a little small brush like this. You can buy these like at Ace Hardware, any like an automotive place. and the bristles are usually about this long, and you cut them down to how short you want it. I like them about 3/8 of an inch long. And then I use, this is called Chem wipes. And it's like a fiberglass impregnated tissue paper, and we actually use these in the electronics industry. And this is what we use for professionally cleaning circuit boards. Wait a moment. One of them fell in there. Let me see if I can get it out. Yeah. Yeah, I like to have that sticking out like that. Okay. So how you use these, I want to show you guys how to use these. Okay, make sure it's underneath the camera. Is the first thing you want to do is you want to take your brush and you want to get this area that you're cleaning, you want to get that, put a little bit of alcohol in that like that. Okay? Alright? And then you put this on there. And what this will do is it will soak up that alcohol and any flux with it. Any kind of flux or dirt that's on the board, it'll soak that up with it. And this is a really good way of cleaning your boards after you solder on IC sockets. In fact, you'll see me do this when I work on Michael's Amiga 500 motherboards. You'll see me do this on his boards. So yeah. And then you just lift that up and you keep doing it until you no longer see yellow on this white Chem wipe. And yeah, that's how we do it professionally in the electronics industry. And that looks pretty good. I'm not going to go overboard on this. I mean, it looks fine. Looks fine. Okay. And then, of course, I'm going to go over it with your makeup pad. Just brush away any solder flakes or anything that might be on there. And that's it. I mean, it's still a little bit sticky. That's because there was something on this board to begin with. But the soldering connections look good. They're smooth and shiny and conical. Not too much solder. So, but I'm going to do one more pass with the cotton. That's why, because I don't know what this sticky stuff is on this board. I mean, what the hell is this stuff? You know, I like my boards clean. I don't like them with all the sticky crap on here. Okay, that I think is good enough. I'm getting carried away here and the video is getting too long, so. Alright. Alrighty. That should do it. Yeah, that should do it. Alrighty. Okay, that should do it. And so that's, you know, those caps are soldered. Now the other thing that I need to do is I need to take one of these cotton makeup pads and we want to clean these fingers because they get oxidized, and yeah, it's important that you clean these as well. A lot of people just use a pencil eraser, but I don't recommend doing that, not unless they're really, really dirty. And then you use that very sparingly. Okay, you don't want to use that too much. And so this, yeah, there's some kind of, I don't know, some kind of stuff on here. Yeah, some kind of stuff on here. Okay, and that'll keep those from corroding. And, you know, the makeup brush, okay, which is just perfect for any kind of dust particles or anything that's on there. See? Flip this baby around. And yeah, we're getting this Picasso board looking nice. See all that dirt that was on that connector? I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but trust me, there's a lot of dirt on that. Okay. Alrighty. God, it's a lot of dirt on that. Oh my God. There's a lot of dirt on this board. I mean, man. It is. Oh my God. Are you serious? A lot of dirt on those fingers. Okay. Yeah, this board was filthy. God. Okay. Anyway, that's good. It should say somewhere on here that this board was made in Germany. I'm pretty sure they are made in Germany, these boards. Alright. Well, that's it for this board. I mean, what I can do right now, I removed this 100 ohm resistor so that that's not going to fry when I plug in a modern LCD display. And I replaced the original 470 microfarad 10 volt capacitors with these high quality Panasonic capacitors. They're 470 microfarad 16 volt. And the next time I sit down and work on this, after I get the capacitors in, I'll be replacing the rest of these capacitors. Okay. So, yeah. The only thing left to do now is, like I said before, I want to reseat these chips. Hear that creak? Yeah. Yeah. Some of these memory chips were popping out, so I'm glad I'm doing this. Yeah, hear them creak? I don't know if you can hear that on the camera or not, but they are creaking. And then the same thing with the ones here. Not, I mean, don't get crazy with it. Just, just press down, just reseat them, and you'll hear them creak. Now, there's some kind of stickiness on top of that chip. Yeah, like there was some kind of a sticker or something on that. So, again with the makeup pad, we're going to get that stickiness off. Okay. There we go. Yeah, that was filthy, whatever that was on there. I like to take care of my rear graphics cards. Yeah. There you go. That looks better. It's not so sticky now. God, what the heck is up with this board? You know what I mean? All the damn sticky. Yeah. I'm just wondering about what this board was used. What kind of a MiG 2000 this was originally used in, because, man. Yeah. I don't like my boards dirty, Anyway, there's that. I think I'm done with it. Yeah, I think I'm done with it. Let's center this on the camera, and I'll zoom in for you guys to see what I've got done. Let me see. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. And I go ahead and put away my cutters, my tools. I always like putting away my tools. But yeah. Oh, I want to show you the type of solder that I use. So let me get this thing out of here. Yeah, let me get this out of here. Yeah, I want to show you guys the type of solder I use. So yeah, so that's if you want to get this kind of solder, you can. This is the exact kind of solder that I used in the industry. In fact, let me okay. Let me get this Picasso II board off of here, and I'll zoom in on that solder so you can read it, and you can write down the part number or whatever. You know. Okay, so I'll put this in front of the camera, and I'll zoom in. Yeah, I'll zoom in. I don't know if you guys can read that or not, you know, but there you go. That's the solder that I use right there. I don't know if that's enough zoom in or not. Let me try to zoom in a little bit more. Yeah, this camera actually has pretty good macro function. So when I'm working on Michael's Amiga 500 motherboards, I'll be able to zoom in on the trouble spots to show him and the rest of my YouTube viewers, you know, what's wrong with his motherboards. But yeah. Okay, that's it for this video. Stay tuned for the second part where I replace the rest of the capacitors with brand new Japanese capacitors, and then I'll install that board in one of my main Amiga 2000 computers, and we'll go into my computer room and I'll show you how to set it all up. Anyway, my name is Hans George Campbell, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Anyway, until next time.